Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to look at something that on the surface looks like it's about luxury cars, but it isn't. It's about the illusion of wealth. And I see it time and time again. These influencers who give the illusion their lifestyle's just amazing. For years, Christopher Delgado surrounded himself with Lamborghinis, Rolls Royces, Bentleys, luxury SUVs, private jets, and mansions. These vehicles weren't just transportation. They become marketing tools. They help convince people that Goliath Ventures was having an extraordinary success. Thousands of investors saw those cars. What they didn't see was the paperwork. After Christopher Delgado was arrested, WFTV investigative reporter Darlene Jones interviewed him for around about 7 hours, going by what she said, why they had 7 hours worth of footage across multiple interviews. They talked about the cars. They talked about the lifestyle. They talked about the business. But as I watched every minute of those interviews, and you know I did, one question keeps coming to mind. Who actually owned the cars? Were they owned outright? Were they leased? How much finance was still owing? How much equity was left? Because that's the difference between looking wealthy and being wealthy. When I went to buy my first leased car, now that's not quite right, I walked in and I remember paying $14,000 for a car, having it for 12 months and selling it for $7,500. And then I walked into a showroom floor and they had this beautiful V8 car sitting on the lot. And I said to the guy, can I take it for a drive? And he looked me up and down like, you can't afford this, laddie. Anyway, took it for a drive. And when I come back, I said, that is awesome. I said, how much would it cost to lease that vehicle? And he said, $750 a month. And I was limited on how many Ks I could do, all that sort of stuff, what I could do to the car, all that sort of stuff. But I said, I'll take it. And ever since then, I've leased cars 10 in a row. It's only now I've actually owned the vehicle. The first one I managed to, but every year I used to release it, pay more. And I finished up paying up to, I think it was $1,300 a month was the most I could afford to pay for a car. But most people would look at me and think, oh, you're doing really well. And I go, yeah, but I lease it. I don't own it. Oh, why would you lease it? Why didn't you own it? And I go, well, every 2 years I put the car up for sale for whatever the lease says I owe on it, get myself out of it, walk in and do the same thing again. Easy peasy. But that's what these wealthy people are doing with these massive $700,000 cars. They're leasing them and they're just making the payments. Ridiculous. Now, to be fair to television journalism, who the real journalists are, and long-form investigative journalism, are two very different things. A television interview is limited to the time and different priorities. I've had the advantage of spending months following the story, reviewing thousands of pages of court filings, bankrupt records, forfeiture documents, and criminal proceedings. So, like I've criticised a lot of mainstream media quite a lot because they don't know what we know, and I have to remember that. We've been in the trenches looking at every co-conspirator involved in Christopher Delgado's, lifestyle surrounds. We've been following these guys for months, well, since the 1st of September. So because of that, we can tell the real story and we can know the truth. So we can see when Christopher was on WFTV, we could see that he was controlling the narrative. We knew the truth. We knew the people he was associated with. We knew what's been happening since he's pleaded guilty to running a $328 million Ponzi scheme. We can also see the wealth that his co-conspirators are still trying to show. And I'll show you some clips of one individual, Mike, in Dubai, who's literally using borrowed vehicles to give the illusion that he's doing well. So what he learned from Goliath Ventures, he's now trying to do in his own lifestyle marketing to get himself in business to look like he's a raving success. When I started reading the federal forfeiture documents, I discovered that some of the most expensive vehicles in Goliath's fleets produced almost nothing since the finance companies, produced almost nothing once the finance companies were paid. That really did actually make, it was horrible to, I'm just going to finish the rest of my coffee. Some weren't even worth selling. Others generated only a tiny fraction of what most people expected. Not the story told on Instagram, not the story told in promotional videos. The story told by federal court documents was the real story. So grab your coffee, support me if you may by using the, nearly got it right, that thing there. Support me in the work that we do with the Avengers, because we do all our research. We don't get enough money from our YouTube dollars as most people think. Most people think I'm making millions of dollars. I'm normally making that from $1 to maybe, I have made $400 in one video once, but the average is around about $3 or $4 per video I do, if you're thinking I'm making money. So the donations is how we support the work that we do, and it's much appreciated. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's follow the money, because once you understand who really owns the cars, you'll never look at another lifestyle in quite the same way again. So if you follow what I'm saying there, so we've produced a blog, we've gone through the court filings, and it's absolutely gutting. We've even produced a song about this one, and if you push play, you'll be able to watch me in real time. Whose car was it anyway? Let's get into it. If you've got any comments or any information that will help us with our research, it would be awesome. And I know I've sort of given a bit of, I'm filming this live, and I know I've already explained a few things to a few investors, but I really want, there's a couple of extra things here. I want to sort of give you a bit of a background. So some of the crazy thing that's happened, we just discovered a couple of videos here of Christopher 7 years ago when he was doing, well, this one was a year ago. And in here, Christopher's explaining to this guy about how corrupt banks are.
From the solid banks that we think that were solid banks in the U.S., and this is not happening with the cryptocurrency.
Well, yeah, you have to see that, like the fall of Lehman Brothers.
It's got the gain up too high. But here's Christopher at that time, got 30 bank accounts, and he's trying to shuffle money between one bank and another to keep the illusion alive. And here he has been interviewed by somebody claiming that the banks are corrupt. And we did manage to seize one bank account with Bank of America and had $18 million in it. It's kind of ironic that Christopher's living a lie right there. That wasn't reported, was it? And then we showed you some other videos that's got removed. We just briefly had a look at Gary Rice. We talked about how he's still got images up here, how he's filming for his buddy Tomo. And I did also notice that Gary actually used to be a policeman, a fireman, which was interesting. So there's the connection there. All those firemen. Here it is. So all these firemen have been investors in after Goliath. Don't mean to put your kids on there, mate. That was not cool. But anyway, so what am I trying to say? Tomo has managed to get a lot of people in from the fire brigade. And here's Gary Rice, and he's got Stephen Davis in here and doing firearm stuff, and it's just like, it's just unreal. Oh, have we deleted some stuff here just in the last few minutes? Is that what's happening? Let's just have a wee refresh and see if they're still there. Oh, they're still here. So that's good to know. Anyway, what I'm getting at is people are deleting, scrubbing stuff from the internet. We're going to get into that in a few minutes. So the interesting thing is I have emailed Ultimate Auto, and I've talked to Joe in the past. Everyone that I talk to says Joe is a lovely guy. He's just a good guy. But the elephant in the room at the moment is the vehicles that were, these vehicles have been looks like we know one vehicle's definitely been purchased by him. So Darlene Jones interviewed Christopher. He said that the car was worth $600,000. They did a $300,000 upgrade on the body of the vehicle. And now it looks like Ultimate Auto has actually purchased that vehicle. And this is them in their showroom. Aftermarket wheels, but let's not go down that road. So that's now up for sale. But what would be really interesting to myself and the Avengers, we would love to know the $300,000 that Christopher paid to do the mods on this vehicle, how he went about paying for that $300,000. Did he just give you $300,000 or did he finance the $300,000? And it's kind of ironic. I mean, I can understand the car that's done the fit out wanting to buy the vehicle they spent a whole lot of time upgrading back. But this car at the time, theoretically 2,500 kilometers were miles on the clock. And now they've purchased that car back. But I would, if you really want to help with our investigation, if anyone knows, how did Christopher pay for the $300,000 worth of upgrades on that vehicle? And the other one that we see also is the Rolls-Royce. The Rolls-Royce that I don't know if this is the right Rolls-Royce. I'm not a Rolls-Royce freak. I think the Ghost had new wheels put on it. And because of that, one of the deals from somebody who was going to buy it from the receivers fell through. I'm not sure if it's this vehicle. I don't know whether these are factory wheels or aftermarket wheels. But here's a Rolls-Royce with the stars on the ceiling. And this one here is also in Ultimate Auto's yard. Now, I don't know whether they bought it. We know one of these Rolls-Royces was actually bought by a local dealer. He may have gone in there to get it detailed. I don't know. But anyway, if we have any intel on these, it would be very good to know. Joseph Lemon, he's been very helpful. Normally when I add people to ask to connect to them via LinkedIn, when I hit refresh, normally they block me. But this guy hasn't blocked me. So I'm not insinuating he's doing any wrongdoing at all. So just to be clear. But when we realized that they were dealing with Christopher Delgado, we reached out to him on the 16th of December. So what I would be interested to know is whether Christopher had any car detailing done after the 16th of September 2025. So I'm going to read the email that we sent Joe, and I'm going to give you a copy of the response we got from him as well.
Hi, Joe. My name is Danny DeHeck. I'm an investigative journalist currently conducting an in-depth investigation into Chris Delgado and Goliath Ventures Incorporated. Through multiple sources and investor documents, I've uncovered a troubling pattern of red flags suggesting that Goliath Ventures is operating as a Ponzi scheme, promising guaranteed monthly returns, citing non-existent audits, and making unverifiable claims about custodial banking relationships. These concerns have already drawn the attention of whistleblowers and regulatory bodies. Your name has come up in connection with Delgado, specifically regarding upgrades and custom work on his Rolls-Royce and Lamborghini vehicles. This is important because Delgado's lavish spending on luxury goods is central to the story I am reporting. He showcases wealth and assets as proof of legitimacy, when in fact many believe he is spending investor money rather than profits from legitimate business operations. I'd like to give you the opportunity to clarify your position before publication, specifically.
Yeah, so that's what we did.
Have you been paid in full for the upgrades you provided? And if so, what was the method of payment? Wire, crypto, cash? Have you been offered future contracts, incentives, or partnership arrangements tied to Goliath Ventures? Are you aware of others in your network who have been approached by Delgado, or who may have invested with him? Do you understand that if Delgado's assets were purchased with investor funds, they may be subject to seizure or clawback in the event of regulatory action or bankruptcy? This is not an accusation against you, but given what I now know, I want you to appreciate the seriousness of the person you are dealing with. If Delgado's operation collapses, unpaid invoices and repossessions are a very real risk. If you have information, you have the opportunity to become a protected whistleblower. Anything you share can be kept anonymous unless you choose otherwise. If you prefer your comments to be published, please mark them for attribution.
We'll be right back.
Wake up! Wake up. Wake up, don't go to sleep on me. That's an elephant. I don't know why, but I like elephants. I think it's because my mum said no one's talking about the elephant in the room. I hope you're enjoying the podcast and you don't want to or even think about changing the record. I've got some really cool sound effects and I just had to find a place to use them. I can do explosions. I've even got a gunshot and a boom. Isn't that quite cool? Anyway, I just wanted to wake you up. Wake up and we'll get into it. And by the way, just grab a drink. I'm going to grab a glass of champagne. Let's carry on. That's good. All right. Grab a coffee if you like one as well. Yeah. So, no, we didn't get any right to reply, but I don't, like we get ghosted after one email. So we didn't get an email response, but we did get a response on some other social media. And I don't remember actually how it came in, and I'd have to do a bit of a dive to find it. So I've got, hello, Mr. DeHeck. My name is Joe Lambin, and I'm the owner of Ultimate Auto. Mr. Delgado is a new client with Ultimate. Below are the answers to some of your questions. Please keep this information confidential and anonymous. Well, I'm sorry. I don't think it matters now that Christopher's pleaded guilty. All work had been paid for. So all work has been paid via money, wire, or credit card. How about that? So that's interesting. No offers of contracts, no offers or incentives, partnerships. So he didn't offer him a backhanded deal. I can offer you an investment opportunity or anything like that. And we are not personally aware of any investors. So I'm sorry, but that to me is fine. But if you know whether these guys, like, do all the Goliath boys get their vehicles serviced or maintained there? I don't know, because he's saying no offers of contracts, incentives, or partnerships have been made. Fair enough. We are not personally aware of any investors. So at the time, 18th of September, no one really knew this was a scam because we'd been investigating it for 18 days. We will proceed with caution with his client, with this client, if any future business dealings occur. Thank you. So that was pretty awesome. So I said, thanks again for your openness and your last message. It really helps separate who is directly involved and who is simply doing regular business. And I have no reason to believe he wasn't doing regular business, even though it is a bit of convenience that they bought that car back. And I'm not saying there's any wrongdoing whatsoever. It's just business, isn't it? Or is it? I don't know. You make your own decision or accusations if you want. I have no idea. Thanks again. Okay, and then I've got, as part of this investigation, I'm trying to build a clear picture of who Mr. Delgado is spending investors' money. One key piece is the vehicle he been showcasing. Would you be able to share a list of vehicles that he has brought to Ultimate Auto for modifications or upgrade? This information will remain confidential and anonymous, just like your earlier note. Any details that you can provide. So look, I did get response back, and the only vehicle that he hadn't done any modifications on, and he was quite pleased to say so, was a black Ferrari in Dubai, I believe. So that was quite cool. So, hey, look, a lot of good things have gone around about Joe. Joe did respond to us, which I'm pleased to do. Obviously, this was before Christopher Delgado actually had been arrested, and now, and we still haven't really got any evidence that Christopher's still in the same house, believe it or not. But we have seen the court documents, and the court documents here actually tell us that the vehicles were actually purchased. Definitely we can prove definitely 100% that one of the vehicles was, the Lamborghini, was purchased by Ultimate Autos, Joe's business, which is quite good. And I can perfectly understand that if he's done all the work, you probably know the real worth of that vehicle. And so that's quite interesting. So luxury cars were never the story. They were the marketing, and I'm never going to look at a luxury car ever the same from now on. If I see somebody driving around a Lamborghini, I'm going to think that guy's in a hell of a lot of debt, not a hell of a lot of wealth. For years, Goliath Ventures sold more than investment opportunity. It sold an image of extraordinary success. Social media was saturated with Rolls-Royce, Lamborghinis, Bentleys, yachts, private jets, and exclusive events. A $9 million Christmas party, for God's sake. Who the hell needs to spend $9 million celebrating Christmas when the company was 2.5 months of not paying back investors? Ridiculous. Even sent out an email I think it was on the 2nd of December, telling people that payments were going to resume to normal. I think on the 14th and the 15th of December, held a $9 million party, which is now we found out that was his last hurrah, on the 12th of December. And then Christopher took off to Dubai straight after that event, when investors were thinking that was a great party and now everything's going to resume back to normal. When Christopher already knew that the Bank of America had seized his bank account when he had only $18 million left of $328 million. And now we realize that there's debt in this company as well. And that's why the receivers have come out and now said that they believe that was a $400 million Ponzi scheme. We knew that airlines were owed one account. We had one airline that was owed $723,000 for unpaid flights. It's just a mayhem. It's carnage. And everyone like me even saw all these vehicles and these watches and these houses, and they thought, oh, they'll be able to recover money. Then when we were researching the houses, we were finding out that there was mortgages on these houses. I mean, just using Nick Petrillo, for example, even he bought an $8.5 million mansion, as you do, and it had a $5 million mortgage. Wonder how Nick Petrillo is getting on now paying that mortgage. His wife, who's had his third child, will now be working as a hairdresser around the clock just to try to pay the gardening bill. Creating the impression that Christopher Delgado and his inner circle had discovered a formula of limitless wealth. For many prospective investors, those luxury assets become proof the business was thriving. But look at that. I mean, I've followed the Goliath Ventures investigation from the beginning, and that was from the 1st of September when we instigated Homeland Security, reviewing thousands of pages of court filings. And my Avengers are the unsung hero. And there's one I'm thinking of in particular. She's in the chat room at the moment. Any court filing that's landed in those dockets. Now, if you haven't been keeping up, Goliath Ventures ain't that hard to find. So you can go to goliathventuresbk.com. You can go to their website, and you can see all the latest dockets that are released to the public. Now, if you were associated with Goliath Ventures on the 3rd of September, you will know that they shut down the Florida operation. They opened themselves up in Wyoming. Would you believe that? So did Nadia Bringus, would you believe? Anyway, if you haven't...
A donation from its BS victims didn't get first right to buy assets.
Oh, that would have been good. I don't think many victims had that much money left over, just saying. But that's a very good point. So thank you for that donation too, by the way. That's those messages that pop up are people who have thrown money at me like I would say. Anyway, so what I'm getting at here is if you have invested after the 3rd of September, you may think you need to put two proof of claims, and you don't. You just need to put the one. Both those companies are now being merged into one. And the lead case is the Florida company where most of the money was brought in. But what you can find from this area here is you can go to the dockets and you can see the latest filings as they come out. So it's a very active case. So on the 24th, which was 3 days ago, they had 3 filings. On the 22nd, 21st, 16th, 15th, 15th. See, there's dockets being basically done just about every second day. So don't think there's no one else here. And also, if you haven't done a proof of claim, and I don't know why you wouldn't, a lot of people held back. They were embarrassed. They didn't want their names out there. They'd borrowed money potentially from sources that they may not have wanted to. But now we're finding that all these proof of claims are actually coming out. You go to dehec.com. As I said earlier on before we started recording this part of the section, my website currently is getting another denial server attack, which means we have to prove that we're human when we go there. So we've got file a proof of claim. So if you go to my website and search for a proof, you'll find this here. In here, you can file a proof of claim. If you're stuck and you don't know how to do things, do reach out to me, and my Avengers will actually help you fill out this proof of claim stuff, and you can actually fill out that stuff. And I don't know if I've done this right, but I think there is a court document here. You can actually cheat here. I think I'm just going to bring this up. But there's a claim number that you can just click on any of my documents. You put that claim number in there. You find that case. There it is. And then you go, I understand something, and you go next. And you can sit here and look at all the proof of claims and all the people that have actually put proofs of claim. So you're not alone. That's the point. And if you are filling out the proof of claim and they're asking you to update, put contracts in, you really want to make sure you use redact your information from those documents. We don't want people to find out where you live. We don't want people to find out your phone numbers and personal information. You'll have all the reporters from Channel 9 coming after you otherwise. So to do that, we've even come up with a little bit of help. You can go to my website and there's there's a utilities area. And when you're on there, we'll show you something really cool. When you go to utilities, you go to redact PDF. And basically how that works is you literally have the PDF on your desktop and you can actually just shove it in there like that. And anything that you don't want people to see, you just hold your mouse over like that and you can redact things out. And that's really important. So you can do the case number. You can even do what they do in America in the White House. What do? They just go like this, don't they? Redact the whole lot. But that's how easy it is. And then you download it. Now, you're only allowed to do a couple of documents a day free. I use it all the time for doing it, but I don't do that many. So I just wanted to give you a few little wee tips before we get started. And that's how it all works. Now, what have I done here? I've got waffling too much. I'm trying to think where I was actually up to. So for years, right, did I get up to there? Whereabouts was I? I'm going to get rid of some of the stuff here. I've been waffling too much now. I've forgotten where I'm up to. But anyway, so that's a little bit of a background. You're not alone. If you need help, reach out to us. We're happy to help. We're here working for the victims. And there's Christopher again. Alrighty, so let's see. Social media started, Rolls Royce. Oh, so now we got distracted, didn't we? So we went and looked at the people that have purchased these cars, and now we're going to look at how much wealth was left. For years, Goliath Ventures told me, I don't even know where I'm up to now. I've followed the investigation from the beginning, court filings, bankrupt criminal proceedings, watched hours of interviews, speaking to victims, the latest federal forfeiture. I'm just going to read this. The
latest federal forfeiture filings pull back the curtain on what happened after the illusion collapsed. They reveal what became of the luxury vehicles that helped sell the dream and, more importantly, expose the financial reality behind them. Far from representing unlimited wealth, many of these assets were heavily financed, carried little recoverable equity and, in some cases, generated almost nothing once the lenders had been paid. It's a powerful reminder that the appearance of success can be manufactured, while the underlying financial position tells a very different story.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the part that hurts me the most, is these scoundrels will actually give you the illusion they're rich, but no one questions the fact. I mean, you don't walk up to a guy driving down the road in a Rolls Royce and ask him how he managed to finance his vehicle. But you do in your head have a sort of a concept where you're actually thinking that these guys are wealthy. So Christopher said in his Channel 9 News interview that he never did any lifestyle marketing photos. So I thought these images that you see here on the left are actually done by Gary Rice, and these are the images that Gary Rice has now deleted from his Instagram account that we've managed to nab, obviously. And this is how ridiculous it is. So, it's really is just absolutely batshit crazy. Anyway, when Goliath Ventures began attracting investors, it was simply selling the promise of monthly returns. When Goliath Ventures began attracting investors, it wasn't simply telling the promise of monthly returns. It was selling a lifestyle that appeared to validate those returns. So oozing wealth. I mean, can you imagine realizing that Christopher's getting out of that plane where he owes that airline $723,000. He's sitting on a Rolls Royce that is mortgaged to the hills, where you're going to find out how much money they got back from this Rolls Royce. So the next time you see an influencer, they've even started up a new thing where you can go to university and learn how to be an influencer, for God's sake. What's the world coming to? Did anyone see that in the paper? I'm just going to see if I can actually find that. But there was a new press release which is showing you that you can actually go to university now and learn to be an influencer. I think it was one of my Avengers chats. I need a central place. Oh, yeah, here it is here. So I'll just get this here. So this is how, what is the world coming to? We're going to have a university that teaches people, Fox News Flash, you can now go to college and become an influencer. Arizona State University is the first in the country to offer a degree specifically designed for content creators or influencers. The major offers courses such as social media foundations, on-camera presence, videography, and podcasting. For goodness me. Young Voices, I don't even know that name is, called the new content creation major a tremendous waste of resource on Fox Friends. Oh, I see, a tremendous waste of resources. Oh, that's great. Somebody's actually doing it. So I don't know anything about it, but isn't that batshit crazy? That, like you've got people, I'm just thinking of Mike, Money Mike. One thing I did show people before we went live, which I'll do again because I just can't help myself, is we've got Mike, one of the Goliath's co-conspirators, who's currently living in Dubai, and we've heard recordings where he's not happy with his lifestyle. Basically, his life is shit, and he's trying to become somebody famous. Anyway, I was investigating another crypto influencer, and I couldn't believe what I found. And here it is on the left. We've got True Money Mike, which is, you'll figure out his name in a while. And then I've got iKing Booty. I don't even know. At first, I thought I was seeing just had similar taste. So when I first saw this clip, I thought they had similar taste, but I didn't really. Then I started zooming in. The same BMW sports bike, 02, number plate, and identical graphics. The same red G-Wagon, Dubai registration license plate, and they're even getting haircuts at the same place. And trips to Bali together where they're learning how to scam, I believe. Nearly identical crypto millionaires lifestyle content. So you go to True Money Mike, which I can't go to because Mike doesn't love me anymore, apparently. It's not available to Danny. But then if I go to this guy, I've emailed him, messaged him, you'll see that he's got the same vehicles that Mike has got. He's even driving around the same cars. And as I said, he's getting the same haircuts. So it's batshit crazy. So here's Mike. I think I actually have to show you now. I've gone this far. I didn't come this far just to come this far. Whereas not that one. Let's just go back. It must be, I think it's that one. Hopefully we've got the right one. Otherwise I'm going to be wasting some more of your time. But there's a photo of them. He's outside his garage. Either the flatmates, I don't know. There it is. So look at this. So here he is on his scooter. And it's not, I've got a better scooter than that, mate. So you mustn't be doing that well. Why don't you just get the best? You've got money's no problem. But you've got all these cars. So that's a Rolls Royce in the garage. And then you've got the, was it G-Wagon? Whatever it's called. I don't even know what they are. But anyway, the vehicle. And then if you have a look at back here, you can see you've got Mike in the same garage with the Mike outside. So he's two different influences. And now we've got universities teaching people how to lie on camera to make it look like, well, I presume they're not going to teach you how to lie on camera. Well, I hope not. But isn't that just absolutely batshit crazy? Two different influencers, same vehicles, claiming they're wealthy, and now the university is going to teach people how to do it. That is just absolutely crazy. Anyway, so we've got, for many prospective investors, these were not just displays of wealth. They were presented as proof. Christopher Delgado became the public face of that image. Across social media, he regularly appeared alongside Rolls Royces, Lamborghinis, Bentleys, and other high-end vehicles, often surrounded by successful entrepreneurs. Now, I didn't actually write this word for word. I used AI to help write a lot of stuff. And I would not say successful entrepreneurs because I do not know anyone that was actually a successful entrepreneur that stood alongside Christopher and his merry men, because they all have the illusion of wealth, and now they're all running for the hills. Most of them are trying to start up their own businesses. I just showed you Mike. He's trying to sell this Mikey AI app, and the Mikey AI app is to give you tips about how wonderful he's done as a trader. And we know from people, Avengers, who provide us information that he knows nothing about crypto trading, and he was broke as a fart in a jam jar when he first went to Orlando and met Christopher Delgado. So Mike has not ever made any successful money from crypto trading, but now he's claiming he's got a bot where if you sign up for his bot, he's going to give you his trading secrets. Well, if you go to the other influencer I showed you in the pictures, he's selling the same bot. And then we find out that the bot is all about you signing up for a trading platform which pays 30% commission for anyone that you push over the cliff. So if you go and put $500 down on this trading platform where he's telling you you should go trade and you'll learn how to trade, the scam is that the trading platform, which we're going to do an investigation on, is paying out 30% to influencers who push them their way. So that's the scam, but you wouldn't know that. But anyway, when I say, these guys are claiming to be successful entrepreneurs, I mean, let's just go through a few. Steve Davis, well, he spent $50,000 worth of Goliath money that he made in trying to start up a company called choice-press.com. And now he's trying to sue a young couple for $150,000 who don't want to work with him anymore for torturous interference. So he didn't start that company because he had money. Mike had no money. Steve Davis had no money. Now, what about Tomo? Did he have money? Wow. Tomo's broke as a fart at the moment. Can't even pay child support, apparently. All right. And he managed to fly to Dubai, I think it was, or Egypt, I think it was, first class, but he used his travel points that he's been using. At one point, we heard rumors that he was making $500,000 a month from Goliath Ventures. And then he was spending all his money on Rejuvenation Center, whatever his business. He was paying in more money than it seemed like there wasn't enough money coming in the front doors to merit the spend he was making on his own company. So are these guys entrepreneurs or are they co-conspirators? So I wouldn't have used that word entrepreneurs because I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love starting up little jobs, getting them going and then selling them off as side hustles. That's what I like doing. I call myself a serial entrepreneur. It doesn't mean entrepreneurs are wealthy. They can be startup people. Anyone can be an entrepreneur, but none of these guys have done anything other than just follow Christopher around with his handbag and taking his money. That's why everyone wanted to go with Chris, because Chris had the man with the gold makes the rules. Influencers and business associates. So influencers, yes. I mean, let's just use Carl Moon there. Carl Moon's been very helpful with information to us, but is he a successful influencer or is he a successful entrepreneur? And is he as wealthy as you would? How do you know how much money? Just using Carl Moon as an example, he looks like he's a raving success. He's got the $4 million cars, but really, is he that wealthy? How would you find that out? And if you were going to listen to advice from him, would you be intimidated when he was standing beside his $4 million car? Or would you think, oh my God, he's probably got $3.8 million of that in lease, money tied up in leasing the vehicle? I don't know. But my point is, how do you know who you should listen to in business? Are you making those decisions because of their material assets?
Donation from Mike is a rat.
Mike is a rat. What Mike is that? Mike is a rat. Awesome, guys. Anyway, that's what I just wanted to say. Every photo reinforced the same message without needing to say a word. Look, if you're getting out of a jet, I haven't got out of a private jet ever. I've never sat on top of a Rolls Royce. I've never had a matching suit. But, it basically is showing people that you're raving success, and it's part of the, listen to me, I'm successful. Success was visible. Wealth looked effortless. Opportunities appeared real. It's a marketing strategy. I've counted it repeatedly while investigating investment frauds. Before investors examine audited financial statements or ask difficult questions without being gaslighted to shut up or told that you're negative Nancy, they encouraged to believe the lifestyle itself is evidence that the opportunity must be legitimate. So you're not allowed to question these people's wealth these days. And I have, when I was a painter and a decorator, charging $20 an hour to paint people's houses, we got to work for the wealthiest family in New Zealand called the Reed family. And we finished up painting 5 of their houses. We spent 3 months painting the richest lady in New Zealand's house. We had a relationship with her that you would not normally have because she trusted us. And we used to, I remember her husband at the time was actually dying of cancer. And we were playing croquet with her at lunchtime. And we were in her inner circle. And I remember her being in tears telling us how much she loved her husband and how she was traveling to Australia every weekend for treatment, hoping to save him. And eventually he passed away. But I remember having a fantastic relationship where I was working with the wealthiest lady in New Zealand. She was walking around in barefoot. Her car was about 7 or 8 years of age. Her sons had 2 old Valiant cars with cell phones in at the time, which was state of the art. But their wealth wasn't really that noticeable. If you didn't know what we knew, you would not know I was sitting here having lunch and laughs with the richest lady in New Zealand. And then we finished up doing work for the rest of the family because they trusted us and we had a great relationship. And, so I can say I've hung out with those wealthy people, but the real wealthy people, you don't know who is wealthy. But the showy wealthy people, the Instagrammers and the influence style marketing that you see these days, just take it as a grain of salt. Anyway, so everything changed once we started following the arrest of Delgado. Delgado sat down for an exclusive interview with FW investigator reporter Darlene Jones, where he openly discussed many of the vehicles as though they were simply part of everyday business. He was walking around showing the pool table, $120,000 Louis Vuitton pool table, 2 of them in the world, and he's got one. Then you've got Christopher walking around showing the cars and explaining where all the cars were parked and all that. And she's walking around showing everyone how wonderfully wealthy he was. He spoke about purchasing exotic cars, customizing them, and building.
New donation from Mike is the bottom.
Mike is the bottom. What Mike are we? Oh, that Mike. Oh, I think I know who I'm talking to now. I see with this Mike here. Now, can somebody help pronounce the last name of Mike? It's so shocking. I haven't been putting the messages of the Avengers in there. So Susie has been busy doing stuff. It said, if you want to know what Mike AI says when you first started up the app, read below. Mikey's services are designed for users who already have an active trading account on the True Trade. Now, the funny thing is that we don't believe the app that Mikey is promoting to Americans. I think it's been banned in multiple countries. It doesn't mention that. Usually, the recommended minimum starting balance is 500 USDT or more because it allows the system to support team to give you more practical guidance instead of just general information. So, Mike Himlevsky, Chink? See, I can't pronounce his name. Susie's trying to help me with the pronunciation of Mike. Mike Chilesme. How am I doing? Best I can do for you without hearing the voice. Yeah, no, it's brilliant. But it doesn't really matter because if you are wondering who I'm talking about, or it does matter, I just don't get his last name. It does me. And unreal, Mike Chilesme has 4 people in his family we know have invested in Goliath Ventures. And now one of them even wants to sue him and take him to the cleaners, which is unheard of. But anyway, not unheard of, but obviously they looked up to him as Mikey, the trading guy. So everything that Mike's done has been a failure other than him making a few $100,000, we believe, on promoting Goliath Ventures. He turned up in Orlando with no money. We've got screenshots and videos of a $35 million. He bought in $35 million for Goliath Ventures. So if he got the 4% per month from that, he could have made a few $100,000. Now he's a washed up scammer. He had a house he was trying to get out of the lease that he was in. It was $16,000 a month. He's gone to Dubai to set up his new image. He's sweating like I won't say the word, but you get what I was probably about to say. And now he's got to come back to Canada or America to get a stamp on his passport every 6 months. Every time he does that, he'll be freaking out that he's going to get arrested in customs. And that will probably happen sooner or later. He's already been subpoenaed to provide information to the investigators. So let's see what happens in the next few months. It may be slow. We'll keep you up to date as much as we can. Anyway, so he spoke about purchasing exotic cars, customizing them and building what appeared to have an extraordinary collection of cars like he was oozing wealth, with little indication of those same assets would later be the subject of federal forfeiture proceedings. Now, you would think, like all of us, when you see those cars, you think, well, that's cool. They can all go and get whatever they can out of those vehicles. You would not think for a minute that every car that you saw was loaned on. It was only when we started looking at the real estate that they were investing and we realized there was mortgages on these properties. And I'm sitting here thinking, here he is meant to be a billionaire man with a billionaire image, and he's getting loans out on these houses for $3.5 million. the one he bought from Jackie Segal. I can't remember, I think it was a $1.5 million house and there was a $700,000 or $800,000 mortgage on it. That was like really unusual. But then when you think, well, all these cars are worth, $300,000, $700,000, and they just loan, the finance company should be held liable, or the lease companies should be held liable to, I don't know. But what's the deal there? Some lease company knows how these rich people work. So as long as they tick every box, they loan them the vehicles and they know that they can repo them back later on and resell them. I don't know. I don't know how it works. But anyway, it's not my budget to have one of those cars. Anyway, looking back today, the interview feels almost surreal. The luxury fleet that once symbolized success had become evidence of one of the largest cryptocurrency fraud. Prosecutions in the United States. Vehicle by vehicle, the government is now selling those same assets in an effort to recover whatever value remains in the forfeiture state. When the government started selling the assets, once Christopher Delgado was arrested, the investigation entered a new phase. The focus shifted from identifying assets to selling them. Federal forfeiture proceedings gave the United States government authority to begin liquidating luxury assets connected to Goliath Ventures, Inc., with the goal to recover whatever value remained after secured lenders had been paid. So if you had loans against the vehicles, they got paid first, and the remainder of the wealth or the money in the vehicle went back to the estate. Any remaining proceeds could then be directed towards the forfeiture estate and ultimately the victims. I should just read this rather than trying to explain it as I go. As I worked through the court filings, I expected to see collections of high-value assets, capital of returning significant sums, instead of paperwork revealing something quite different. And that's the really hard part. My Avengers really actually felt for this one in particular. Behind the Lamborghinis, the Rolls Royces, the Bentleys was a recurring pattern. Many of the vehicles carried substantial financial obligations. In some cases, the outstanding debt absorbed almost the entire sale price. Hear that? Others had so little equity that there was virtually nothing left once the lender excused its legal right. That is, exercised its legal right. Didn't think that sounded quite right. That discovery fundamentally changed the way I looked at Goliath's luxury fleet. Although my investigations into investment fraud, I've seen extensive cars used repeatedly to create the appearance of credibility and success. Investors naturally assume that someone driving a collection of exotic vehicles must have accumulated enormous wealth. It's a funny thing, though, isn't it? The real world people don't understand. We assume too much, don't we? Yet these court records demonstrate that owning an expensive car, and controlling meaningful equity in the car is two very different things. So we've recently just busted a big scam called BG Wealth Sharing. In fact, we didn't bust it. We actually reported on it. I believe it was $1 billion scam, and we were watching these people that were getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars per month were also winning cars, but those cars were often, they paid the first month's lease. And then now that the scam's fallen over, the vehicles are all being repossessed. There's no wealth in the car. It's not like they walk in there and go, how much is that car? And they go $100,000, and they go, here's $100,000. They go, how much is the first month's payment? Well, $7,000. Or sometimes they have to pay a third of the vehicle up front, don't they? But no, they do it the cheapest way possible, because even the people who are buying these vehicles to give them to the people that are promoting the scam know it's not going to last. As the government began selling the vehicles, I'm just going to read that because I'm out of my mojo at the moment.
The carefully curated social media image started to unravel. The marketing projected unlimited wealth, but the financial records told a far less glamorous story. One built on finance agreements, secured creditors, and surprisingly little recoverable equity.
So if I was looking at this individual here that's claiming that he's an influencer and he's also a fighter, I haven't looked to see whether sentiment, but all these photos that you see on a social media, just picking on this guy, for example, I mean, all the wonderful things that he's doing, you know, if you didn't know any better, you'd think that was his vehicle. I think all these influencers should actually have what they call open deeds to their wealth. So this is Bali, and you'll probably see the same motorbike. You'll probably even see the guy who's punching is actually Mike Kralinski. Who knows? But this is them showing their lifestyle off. Every time I see a vehicle from now on, I want to know who owns it. Why do these actually do that for? Is that me? Must be. Strange. Anyway, so that's what I'm getting at here. These vehicles have been reused by other influencers. It must be like, can we rent can we rent a Bentley or a Mercedes just so we can do some photos and then I'll give it to the next influencer. Maybe there's a service that you can hire in Bali where you can drive around in luxury vehicles and make it look like you're rich. I don't know. Anyway, out of my pay scale, have I forgot to do that again? Look at that. I'm just going through these headings here and I'm making sure that I have actually made them all bold because it doesn't look very nice when they're not all bold. I just updated this blog just before I went live. So if you're watching my blogs on other reading platforms, you'll notice the changes. But what we did is the Lamborghini that produced very little. And this is the one that we've just looked at, and that's it there. So this lovely Lamborghini, if you like Lamborghinis, not my flavour really, I like my Suzuki Swift, but that's a pretty flash-looking car. I'm sure you'd want to be the man about town driving that car with the gold wheels. So this is the Lamborghini that produced very little. And the story goes, the Lamborghini that produced very little, it still didn't update. 1 minute, please, call up. Why didn't that update? Have I got problems again? All right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just me being a bit. Anyway, if there was one vehicle that embodied the Goliath Ventures brand, it was Christopher Delgado's 2025 Lamborghini Revuelto. It wasn't simply an expensive supercar. It became part of the company's public image, appearing throughout promotional material that suggested Goliath Ventures had unlocked extraordinary financial success. Now, when I was in Orlando, we had sightings of Chris, and people were telling me, how do we know it's Chris? And he said, well, he drives a yellow Lamborghini. Well, if he only had 2,500 miles on it, he mustn't have driven it very far. But anyway, somebody should say, well, I was there, that he was out driving in this yellow Lamborghini. When I reviewed Delgado's post-arrest interview with WFTV investigator Darlene Jones, it was striking how casually he discussed the Lamborghini. He explained that the vehicle had originally cost around about $600,000 before extensive customization, claiming an aftermarket body kit alone added another $300,000. So now we're up to $900,000 worth of car in value. According to Delgado, the work was carried out by Ultimate Audio. Now, so if you can click on that link if you want to read the blog, and I haven't actually given you the link to the blog, which I will do now. Remember, I'm getting a server denial attack where they send hundreds of bots to my computer, my website at the moment. So you will have to prove you're a human when you go to that page. That's all part of doing what I do. But anyway, so at the time, Christopher claimed that car would be worth about $700,000. I remember her saying, only 700? Surely you can get $1 million. Maybe she should be the one that sells it. But anyway, between 700 and 800,000. So anyway, the truth of the matter is, she could have asked him if there was any finance over that vehicle. Just saying. The court records tell a very different story. According to the forfeiture filing, if you click on that, you will see that you can actually go and read the court documents directly from my website. Anyway, and it said, according to the forfeiture filing, the government accepted an offer of $625,000 for the Lamborghini. So just work that out there for a second, ladies and gentlemen. You got a car that's 1 year old. It has a buy value of $600,000. They spent $300,000, which I'd love to know how he paid for that, which we do have a record of that going by. He used credit cards and also wired the money. So I'd love to know whether Christopher paid $300,000 in one lump sum. If Joe, if you're listening to this, why don't you reach out to us and tell us, because it would be interesting to know. Obviously, now we know that you were working for somebody who's pleaded guilty to running a $328 million Ponzi scheme, and now you're driving around in his car. That must be exciting. Anyway, so they've increased spending $300,000 on a car has now made the value of that car $625,000. Ironically, the successful purchaser was Ultimate Auto, the very same company that had reportedly completed the vehicle's extensive custom build. The business that transformed the Lamborghini into one of Goliath Ventures' most recognisable status symbols apparently became its new owner after the government seized it and sold it. The problem was the finance. So I'm not reading it very good today. The problem was the finance. Lamborghini Financial Services was still owed, can you get this, $604,438.86 under its secured interest. So, okay, so you're starting to get the picture here, guys. Once the lender had been paid, only $20,561.13 remained before storage, seizure, and administrative costs were deducted. How do you feel about that, guys? Do you think that Christopher should stand in front of a camera and be interviewed by Channel 9 News and show off his Lamborghini and how successful he was, how he managed to pay $8.5 million for a house and he should have stayed renting, he thought, and he would have had more money in the bank and all this sort of carry on, and not been asked that dreaded question, how much finance is left in that vehicle? I think that might be the very first question Darlene Jones is going to ask next time she's interviewing someone who's got a Lamborghini in front of them. And I think people who invested in Christopher Delgado, he deserves to answer all those questions. Rather than holding back hidden bags that are stored in the house, or those answers to those questions, or being coached not to say certain people's names when asked questions, I think all those questions should have been transparently answered and given by Christopher. If I was a scammer, and I'm facing 50 years in jail, and I was being interviewed because I wanted to tell my story, I would have just spilt the beans. I would have told everything I could ever think of about all the dirty and disgusting things I did. Or would I sit there and try to control the narrative? Would I have controlled the narrative and told them that I was trying to get my business going? How I was doing the right thing by investing all their money into a Ponzi scheme. Remember he said that? He was trying to do the right thing, and then she did ask that good question. How long did that last for? And he went, about 3 months, until the scam that he was investing in collapsed, which was my liquidity partners. Crazy. Anyway, that is astonishingly a small recovery for one of the most recognisable symbols of Goliath Ventures' lifestyle. It also reinforces one of the biggest lessons from this investigation: the value of an asset and the amount of equity in the assets is not the same thing. I've got $1 million car means nothing until you've actually sold it for $1 million and actually managed to pay back all the debt. For years, the Lamborghini projected wealth. Well, not for years. It's only 2025. ChatGPT, you got that a wee bit wrong. Projected wealth, success, and credibility. When governments eventually sold it, the paperwork revealed something different. Despite hundreds of thousands of dollars reportedly being spent transforming the car into one-of-a-kind showpiece, which is batshit crazy, there was almost no equity left once the secured lender was paid. The Lamborghini looked like an extraordinary asset, but in reality, it generated very little for the victims it was supposed to compensate. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, the Rolls-Royce, well, that's a lovely car. Love one of those one day. I've always wanted to look on the ceiling and go, look at the stars. The Rolls-Royce and the missing wheels. Well, this is what I don't understand, how this actually went down. While reviewing the forfeiture filings, which you can click on here and go and read all about it, one detail immediately caught my attention. It wasn't the sale price or the outstanding finance. It was a brief footnote explaining why one prospective buyer had walked away from Christopher Delgado's 2024 Rolls-Royce Ghost. I think it was the same one that he was standing outside. What am I trying to say? Yeah, when he was first went and handed himself into the courts and walked out with an ankle bracelet and drove off. I think it was the same Ghost. I think that's a Ghost. I'm not sure. I don't know my Rolls-Royces very well. Anyway, by the time I did see another video, which somebody could actually find would actually be quite cool, but we actually had Christopher going to a Rolls-Royce cafe, and outside the Rolls-Royce cafe, there is, what's this here? Have you done Mikey? Oh, that's so funny. Broke ass fart in the jam jar. What's this picture come from? I might just show that while we do. Yeah, we had that restaurant would be quite interesting. I'll just see if I can actually find it. But we've just been given a wee photo that somebody's given me. Let's have a look at this. Is that Mikey? There it is. Broke as a fart in a jam jar. Borrowed G-Wagon. Fake influencer. Micah AI. Broke as a joke. Borrowed car. Borrowed watch. Borrowed jewelry. Borrowed lifestyle. Zero wealth. Zero real wealth. And there's the car keys. And look at the Rolls Royce. It's just beautiful. All flash, no cash, all borrowed, all fake, all facts. Annual bank account balance, minus $3.42. All show no go. Hashtag Danny knows. That is so funny. And look, I'm coming out the bonnet of the G-Wagon. That's just like, and I've got my right logo on there. Looking a bit aged, but that's funny. Thank you very much to the Avenger that put that together. I know who you are, I think. So what am I? Yeah. So what I found is there was a. Isn't it good to see Grant Cardone in trouble at the moment? Just saying, just a wee bit of extraordinary fun. I just want to see if I can actually find the cafe, the Rolls Royce Cafe, because you obviously had to have a Rolls Royce to go there. I'll just see if I can find it. Oh, I forgot to show you something else too, didn't I? Look at this. You got to have a look at this. Okay, so if you go to store.toheck.com, you can actually find our merch store. And in our merch store, we now have the deep fried Delgado in no out scam burger. And that is basically, we sold one today, which is really, really cool. That is a friggin' hilarious. So I'm going to be wearing one of those. I think, I don't know what to wear to the courts on the 21st of October when Christopher gets sentenced. We're hoping that's a firm date because I've already got my flights. But I am actually going to, I think I'm going to wear one of those T-shirts, and there's going to be another Avenger there with me for sure, and we're both going to be wearing the same shirt. So if you want to join us in the courtroom, this is the T-shirt that you want to buy. It's a friggin' hilarious one, but I think that would be quite good because I think Christopher, to me, is the In-N-Out Burger guy who got fired, and he also got fired from Grant Cardone's thing, which is actually batshit crazy. And I'll just see if I can actually find. I don't know what that is. I'm just going to click on that, and hopefully we're not going to incriminate anyone. It's a friggin' hilarious one. Have we got the Rolls Royce? I just want to see if I've got the Rolls Royce Cafe that Christopher was at. Oh, did I take that? Oh, I'm just 1 second. I want to find it. It's a bit funny, that's why. But I did find Christopher at a cafe in Orlando where it just had Rolls Royces outside of it, which is actually a bit crazy. I want to see if I can find that in a hurry. Won't be a second. Be worth looking at. It's good. Okay, screenshots, Lear Jets, victims, whistleblowers. Where is the videos? They're 22 videos. There's Christopher. Did we have them in there? Did I do that? Yes. Just while I'm here. Oh, I have got it. Yeah, I have got it. Okay, so let's just get that back on screen. Okay, so the first thing is I haven't figured out where the blue one is yet, but I think I actually think that's Mike, not Mike Krolinsky. I think he was washing Christopher's car, but that's the blue one. And then there's this video here that's really interesting, but this is actually the Rolls Royce Motors cars. And if you look at here, it's a restaurant. And so we've got the waiter there leaning over saying hi to Chris. And here's Christopher at the Rolls Royce Cafe, because you must have to have a Rolls Royce to go there. I don't know.
Thank you, Adam. I just got it today. I love it.
So I think he's skiting about his new watch that he put on hire purchase. I don't know who these people were in at the time, but we did find another post, and then I found the post. I actually think it was the person that helped do the fit out for Goliath Ventures offices. That's who it was. There we go. Had the first rights, unfortunately. Anyway, so let's carry on. Let's go. By the time the government moved in to sell the vehicles, the IRS had already incurred storage and maintenance cost, while the BMW Financial Services remained owed approximately, oh my goodness. So what am we up to now? So the Rolls Royce, BMW Financial Services remained owned approximately 240 to 900 something thousand under its secured interest. The object was straightforward: obtain the best available price so that the lender could be repaid and any remaining equity preserved for the forfeiture estate. Several dealerships expressed interest in purchasing the vehicles. 3 submitted formal offers, while the 4th initially appeared ready to proceed before unexpectedly withdrawing. So one of the car dealers was going to buy it. Yep, happy to buy it, blah, blah, blah. The reason was surprisingly simple. According to the court filing, the dealership lost interest after discovering the Rolls-Royce no longer had its original factory wheels. So there you go. I didn't know you could do that. Anyway, the document doesn't speculate about when the wheels were changed, why they were replaced, and what became of the originals. It simply records that the missing factory wheels affected the buyer's willingness to proceed. The government ultimately accepted the highest remaining offer, $260,000. I don't even know what the new worth. Maybe we should find out. Maybe, what have we got? Does it say what sort of car it was? 2000. Okay, so let's just go here. Cost. Let's have a look, see if we can figure it out. Okay, so that there, 2024 Rolls-Royce Ghost has a base starting price of about $354,000 with higher trims and custom builds, blah, blah, blah. So you must be able to customize it a little bit. A standard wheelbase. I'm sure he bought the flash one. So I'm guessing around about $400,000 it's going to cost you for one of those new. So he's had it for 2 years. And now it's worth, so they took it off of $260,000. So what did they lose? About $140,000. Plus Christopher spent money on it by the sound of it. So they accepted the highest offer of $260,000 from an Orlando broker. Now, we don't know the Orlando broker, but because I've seen the picture of it in here, I'm wondering if it's something to do with Ultimate Auto. And I can only surmise it was. I have no proof that it is. It doesn't matter if it is. Everyone's allowed to buy it. Who was also prepared to transport the vehicle from North Carolina. Now, this is where we want help with the investigation. Why was that car in North Carolina? Does anyone know? Because we'd just love to know. Like, who's in North Carolina that's associated with Goliath Ventures, and why was that vehicle there, and why did it need to be transported back? Can you help us with that? Because we want to know who it was. People will know people who associate with Goliath Ventures that are in North Carolina. Let us know. Once BMW Financial Service received payments of $243,000, only $17,000 remain before storage, transport, and other administrative costs were deducted. A car worth $400,000 managed to get $17,000 back for the estate and the investors. Isn't that just make you feel sick in your stomach? It's just disgusting, isn't it? Thanks for being here in the chat room, guys. Sorry I'm getting a wee while to get going. On its own, the missing wheels might seem like insignificant detail, yet investigations are often built on details exactly like this. A single sentence blurred in a court filing can explain why a vehicle sold less than expected, or why one buyer walked away while another stepped in. These are the kind of observations that really make the headlines, but often provide valuable insight into happening behind the scenes. Now, this is what makes the Avengers good investigators, because we've seen lots of things like this in the past. We've seen so many scams over the years. This isn't the first Ponzi scheme or scam that I've reported on. In fact, we've reported on over 250 different scams. And we know they use vehicles to promote lifestyle marketing. So we would ask, how was it financed? Who purchased it? What company owns this car? And we would investigate those companies. That's what we do. Now, not picking on Darlene, but Darlene, you saw all those cars. You talked about all those cars, and you didn't seem to ask once who financed those cars. In fact, I think you asked Christopher who paid for the car, and Christopher said this was paid for with money from Goliath Ventures. But you didn't say how much equity is in the vehicle. Now, I can guarantee next time we see Darlene interviewing somebody who's been willing to talk, she'll probably ask that question and she'll know why. And this is where she's claimed that we're not proper investigators, our team. Well, we broke the case. I believe that Goliath Ventures will still be operating today if we didn't start squawking about them. So, the cars that produce nothing. While reviewing the forfeiture filings, one discovery stood out more than any other. Some of the most precious vehicles in Goliath Ventures' luxury fleet weren't sold at all. After examining the court records, I found that the government had abandoned its forfeiture, I can't even say it now, forfeiture claims because there was nothing meaningful, no meaningful equity left to recover once the secured lender's interests had been taken into account. These are vehicles that we know they didn't bother. Was a 2024 Bentley, I can't even say it, Delgado?
Bentayga.
A 2023 Lamborghini Hurricane Evo Spider. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think we did see the blue one in here somewhere. We'll just have a wee look, go through that. I don't know how to forward through these movies. Maybe it's in here. Maybe we go event service galleries. Let's go to galleries. Let's see if we can see it being in here. Now, this is the one that he revved the guts out of outside when he was doing those meals. Is this his? No, that's a Bentley. Oh, is that what he had? One of those? Could be one of those cars. Don't know. I'm not saying that's the car. What have we got here? We've got a Ferrari, Lamborghinis, Jeeps, Land Rovers. We're looking for a blue Lamborghini. Event. Oh, hold it. I see what's happening here. I think you can click on them, and then you'll be able to Lamborghini. So if we click on Lamborghinis, we're going to find all the Lamborghinis. Funny that. Can't see any blue Lamborghini. Maybe didn't do any work. But let's go and take it down the other track and let's look at BMWs, Bentleys, BMW, Escalades, Aston Martin, Hurricane, featured cars. Let's have a look at featured cars and see if there's anything decent in there. No. It must be awesome to be able to work on those sort of cars, but it would probably freak me out, to be honest, because I'd be scared I'm going to scratch one of them. McLarens. Oh, let's see if there's an orange McLaren in here. No orange McLaren. Well, that's good. Steve Davis couldn't afford to get his car pimped out, eh? That would have been funny. Anyone else know any vehicles that have been UA events, Toyotas, Tesla? Really? Rolls Royce. Here we go. Let's have a look and see if there's any Tesla vehicles in here. I don't know, but I don't even know what they're called. Phantom, Dawn, Ghost. So have we got Ghost or is it just one? Two lots of Ghosts. Maybe that's where the wheels are. Don't know, above my pay scale, but you get the idea. Anyway, unfortunately, guys, we know where the blue Lamborghini, Spider, Evo, whatever it was, Alex didn't even get to take it for a drive. Rather than being auctioned, each vehicle was returned to its prospective finance company because the outstanding debt exceeded the remaining recoverable value. How sad is that? From a financial perspective, North Carolina has a large vehicle enthusiast market. Yeah, interesting. Now, I'd love to know who was looking after it when it was down there. That's what I'd really love to know. Lots of Canadian buyers buy vehicles out of, I can't even say that word, Kaloo? Where are you saying that from, Mr. Big? Buy vehicles out of, where we got buyers with vehicles? I can't even see it.
Canadian buyers buy vehicles out of Charlotte due to its border proximity.
Ah, very good. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you very much. Border proximity? What border? Yeah. Okay, let's go. All right, what have we got? Rather than auction, so it was a waste of time auctioning them. Basically, it went back to the finance companies. There was nothing left that could be recovered. The findings completely changed how luxury vehicles should be viewed. Do you agree? Put a 7 in the chat room if you agree that these luxury vehicles are just a waste of time looking at it if you're trying to judge somebody's wealth. Actually, you can probably more likely judge how much debt they're in the more cars they've got. Who the hell needs 12 cars in their portfolio to prove their wealth when you know that they're all leased up to the hills? For years, those vehicles helped project an image of extraordinary wealth. The reality revealed by the court filings is very different. The vehicles looked valuable. The finance company held most of the financial interest, and there was no meaningful equity left to recover. The government abandoned forfeiture because selling them would not produce meaningful return. No point chasing empty dreams, as they say. Now, I'll give you an example of that. I bought a vehicle. I leased a vehicle. I can't even remember how much it cost. $88,000. $88,000 the vehicle cost me. I had to pay $1,300 a month to have the right to drive that vehicle for 2 years. I could have extended it if I wanted to. So if you work out $1,300, right, times 12, let's just make it 1,000. So around about $14,000. So $24,000. And this is how it works. If you want to know, $24,000 is how much that $88,000 vehicle was going to devalue in 2 years. So literally the lease company really only has to worry about loaning me out the loss of the vehicle, right? Anyway, I remember selling that Holden for $47,000. $47,000 mean I could get out of the lease I was in. So if you add 47,000, let's say 25, 40, 52, 75. I don't know how that worked. But anyway, that's what I had to do. I had to find a buyer. I think I sold it for 55,000 after having it for 2 years. Anyway, and then the tyres costed me, like, they were at the time New Zealand dollars. They were $630 a tyre. And I had to put Bridgestones on it, which are quite expensive tyres, but they were the ones that were built for the car. Now, $315. It was a beautiful car, but boy, it cost me a lot of money. But at the end of the day, all I'm really doing is paying the interest. And the lease company knows how it works. And they want you to insure the car, make sure it's not scratched and it's low mileage when you give it back, and then they try to resell it. You know, the same deal with these big expensive cars, no doubt. It's just a money game. So if you can afford to make the payments, you can afford to drive around in $1 million car. If you can afford to go in there and pay cash for that car, then you really are wealthy. But I reckon in future, when we see an influencer, we want to ask him and prove to us that you haven't got massive finance over it. I bet that won't happen. Anyway, it's just a wee dream I have. I've seen this pattern before while investigating fraud. Luxury cars are often used for visual proof of success, encouraging prospective investors to believe that they're looking at genuine wealth. These forfeiture records demonstrate why appearances can be misleading. Until you know who actually owns the assets and how much debt is attached to it, it's impossible to judge someone's true financial position. You know, so it's these scams that we investigate, every single one of them, there's no exception, is all built on trust. And if you want to believe and make your own informed decision, then you've got to think, what are you making these decisions on? Am I looking at the business opportunity, or I am looking at my mate who says, I've done all the research, trust me, bro, and he gets a commission for when he signs you up? Like, you have to stop looking at these people's assets. You might as well go in blindfolded and do your research inside out. Do it backwards. Reverse engineer the investment you're looking at rather than judging it on belief or trust. The remaining fleet, not every vehicle in Goliath fleet was heavily financed. The forfeiture proceedings also identified several vehicles, according to the court record, were not subject to recorded, is it liens?
Liens.
Liens, I think I got it right. That means proceeds from these eventual sales should contribute more directly to the forfeiture estate rather than being absorbed by the finance companies. So the vehicles that are remaining that we still don't really know about is, wait for it, the 2025 Escalade, the 2024 Lincoln Navigator, the 2022 Mercedes-Benz Spider, which I think he bought for his dad or his mum to run around in. And then, no, that was not right. That was Mercedes C300, because he talked about that when Darlene was in the garage. So we've got a 2017 Mercedes-Benz C300, which I think was Mummy's car. I don't know about the Bentley Spider, but who knows that. The 2022 GMC Sierra. Oh. And the Mercury. The Mercury is quite a nice car by the look of it, 1950. We're going to have one of those classics to go out on Sunday, don't you? Anyway, one man needed so much wealth just to prove he was somebody. Isn't that great? Now you know the truth. He was nobody. Washed up scammer. According to the court filings, the Escalade, Lincoln Navigator, Mercedes Spider, and all those other cars we just mentioned were registered to Goliath Ventures Inc., while the GMC Sierra HD hard drive, don't know what that stands for, and the 1951 Mercury were registered to David Stewart, Who's David Stewart? Do we know who David Stewart is? Let's have a wee look and see if we can find David Stewart. 1 minute, please, caller. We're going to go look for David Stewart. Oops, wrong one. David Stewart. Do we have a David Stewart? Anyone know who David Stewart is? No, we have no record of who David Stewart is. No doubt somebody in the chat room, I know a lady who might know who David Stewart was. I'm just going to have a look and see whether we've got any David Stewart. No, David Stewart, where have we got down? David Stewart, where did we got that to? Docket, consistent. I'm looking. David Stewart is apparently his stepfather. Oh, we're good, aren't we? We just know everything about everyone. So his stepfather, so that's Andy's stepfather, and that's brilliant because we knew that there was 2 vehicles purchased, heavy duty. Thank you very much for that. People are listening to me. Look at that. I'm getting... so David Stewart. So Andy's... That's Christopher's ex-wife, the one that looks after his cars. We knew there was a couple of vehicles that were owned by them. Anyway, so they were registered David Stewart. We now know who he is. Who to their own forfeiture. Who contented? What do they say?
Consented to their forfeiture.
Oh, so they've actually handed them in. I didn't realise that. I thought they weren't willing to do that at one stage. Anyway, a Chapter 11 bankrupt trustee likewise consented to the forfeiture of the vehicles owned by Goliath Ventures. So that was great. So that's a wee bit like Wealth MD, who had $143,000 sitting there in their bank accounts. And when the recoverers come along and said, we want that money back, they didn't contest it. They just handed it back. And then we also have another bit of recovery that we have talked about in the past, and that was from the Orlando Economic Partners, who took $200,000 off Goliath Ventures and decided it would be a good idea to hand back $190,000 of that. So far to date, kids, brace yourself, but just short of $300,000 seems to be recovered from a $328 million Ponzi scheme. But if you didn't know what we knew at the time, you would think all these cars, all these watches, all these houses were just assets that he was been collecting along the way. You would never think that Christopher Delgado would just be putting these all on hire purchase, for the use of a better word. Isn't that just incredible? Oh, that's good. Oh, my God, Howie Streams here. How you going, mate? Nice to see you here. Got anything useful for us today? Got any intel? Hey, do you know why the ghost was in Southern whereabouts was it? Carolina? Southern Carolina? You probably... North Carolina. We want to know why.
North Carolina.
Why that vehicle was in North Carolina. Do you know? Where do you live, mate? North Carolina? Come on. You can tell us. Don't you worry about it. Anyway, so all that money and all those vehicles, unfortunately, were nothing. Unlike Lamborghini Revelto and the Rolls-Royce Ghost. Have we said that right? We've got that one. David Stewart. Yeah, yep. Unlike the Lamborghini Revelto and the Rolls-Royce Ghost, these vehicles did not appear to carry recorded secured interest. Oh my God, he actually bought something outright, did he? That doesn't necessarily mean every dollar from their sale will be available for victims, but it does increase the likelihood that greater proportions of proceeds will remain in forfeiture estate after sale-related costs have been deducted. So hopefully those vehicles will add up to something, but unfortunately the big ticket vehicles were just all smoke and mirrors. That's really what it comes down to, isn't it? All right, at the time of writing, the government had not disclosed the final sale price or recovery values. So it remains to be seen how much of these vehicles will ultimately contribute to the recovery process. Now, unfortunately, I think they've done remarkably well actually moving these vehicles and tracking these vehicles and grabbing these assets. I can't wait until we figure out what's actually happened with the real estate side of it and the truth of the matter, because we can see that where the money has been shuffled around, for the use of a better word, to keep the illusion alive. And also, hopefully, it's created some awareness. Now, some other people come to mind. We've got Eric McNeil and Tom Shield from the Onyx Reserve. They've also got these vehicles. I'm going to actually bring that up because I think that's actually relevant. If I went to Onyx Reserve, all right, so we've got Tom Shields. If we go to Founders Evidence Screenshots, PDFs, wonder if we can go here. Onyx Reserve. Now, wonder why I'm talking about those. Well, we've got Matt Burks in their newsletters as here's Matt Burks. Matt Burks is in operations. And then you've got Eric McNeil, Tom Shields, and then all these other people. And they are also running a high investment scam where, did I say scam? Well, we believe it's a scam. CoffeeZilla's already done a video about it. But when you look at persons of interest, you can actually go into Eric McNeil. And when you go to Eric McNeil, you can go to Instagram Eric, and you can actually see they stand in front of helicopters. They've got their flash cars, sit beside airplanes. And he's carrying people around, which is really cool. It's got the same suits, and we've proven that this guy has been trying to scam people. And when you see pictures like this, what do you think of now, guys? Do you think that this guy's just gone out there and bought himself a McLaren? And I believe that's a Rolls Royce. No, it's a Lamborghini. Lamborghini and a McLaren. And he just happened to drive them up there, both at the same time, and do some lifestyle marketing. What was the purpose of Eric standing in front of those two cars? You know, what is the purpose of him standing in front of this car? Is he trying to show you that he is a raving success and he's gone and paid cash for that car and his new shoes to give you the illusion that you should invest with him? And then you're probably thinking, well, why is Danny going off on a tangent here? Look at that suit. I mean, really? Look at his shoes. I mean, really? Is that what we want to do these days? Is that we've got cars lined up like they're all just made out of water, and then we've got things going on there. He's even a father. So here's another guy. Goodness me, that's not who I think it is it? No, it's not. Here's another guy that's a father who's going to leave his kids. And this guy here, we're doing an investigation of him at the moment. There's some big shit coming out about this company. They claim that they have been helping sports players invest in their company. And we are going to prove that they are not. So if you went to Eric's Instagram account and you look through all his videos, you would think this is Christopher Part 2. And then when you go to the more section, you can actually see what he's claiming. He claims that passive income from 5 to 7 every month. He's telling people he's been in Forbes magazine. He's managing 60 plus pro athletes. So we haven't received any information from any pro athlete that this guy's actually doing as he claims. He's also got John 1633, which off my top of my head, I don't know what that means anymore. It used to. And then he's got links in here going off to a social media that I believe this one doesn't work anymore. But anyway, that's what he's promoting. He's a raving success, and he's using lifestyle marketing. I'm sick of these guys, and we don't need to have this shit in our lives anymore. So anyway, what the numbers actually reveal. Let's get back to the blog. We'll keep on that there. So no, all the money. The real estate where the money is. What is it? The real estate where the money is. I don't believe so. And also, the Onyx Reserve, Tom Shields, has now come out with a newsletter claiming that they're now investing in luxury real estate and still offering people the opportunity to get in quick before the 45-day hammer drops. Is absolutely ridiculous. What the numbers actually reveal, stepping back and looking at the figures as a whole, a consistent pattern begins to emerge. Lamborghini Reveldo and the Rolls-Royce Ghost sold for combined $885,000. Yet the secured lenders had exercised their legal rights, and only $37,646 remained before storage, transport, and other government costs were deducted. Meanwhile, 3 additional luxury vehicles generated no recoverable proceedings at all because the outstanding finance exceeded their remaining value. So they could have even, the finance companies had lost on that deal. Well, maybe they should do more due diligence next time and find out who they're leasing these vehicles to. Maybe that's why. Those figures tell a story that social media never could. Now, you don't see that in Eric McNeil's social media. Look at this this video here. I don't even know if this is still going, but I'm going to have a look. Let's have a look at this. Can you see that? I hope so. Look at this. The car's all parked up. And it's got a jet and an airline. It's probably not going to work. Okay, that did not work, and I think I've stuffed up everything I was just doing. So let's see if we can get that back in a second. 1 minute, please, caller. Oh, dearie me, what have I done here? I've broken it now. I'll unbreak that in a second. Let's just go that, and let's go entire screen. That's not what I wanted. I want Chrome, and we want to edit. That's the one there. We're back. That's good. Now we're back. Anyway, so what I'm getting at is I was actually trying to play this silly little video here. But if you look through here at the very start of it here, you can see they've got the big flash cars lined up. Is that another G-Wagon? Wonder who owns that. Wonder how much finance is owned on that one. And then you've got an airplane sitting there. Wonder who owns that. And then you've got all these people walking around drinking champagne thinking that they're learning how this guy got his wealth. I mean, this is the same shit every day, isn't it? I'm getting sick of it. You guys getting sick of it? Let's start exposing these guys. I don't see the point. All right. Those figures tell a story that social media never could. Throughout Goliath Ventures' rise, the luxury fleet projected an image of extraordinary wealth, financial success. Investors saw exotic cars, assumed that they owned outright, and naturally concluded the business must be highly profitable. That's why they used them. The forfeiture records expose a different reality. Many of those same vehicles were heavily financed, leaving little or no equity once the lenders were repaid. For me, this is one of the most important lessons to emerge from this investigation. Luxury assets should never be taken or be mistaken for proof of financial strength. Very much the opposite in this case. Without knowing who owns the asset, how it was financed, how much equity actually exists, it's impossible to judge whether someone's true wealth. In the case of Goliath, the court record reveals that much of the lifestyle which the lifestyle, because this is all about lifestyle marketing. That's why I'm going on about it. And that's what they do. They use lifestyle marketing to show people the wealth. In the case of Goliath Ventures, the court record reveals that much of the lifestyle which helped attract investors was built on assets that ultimately produced very little when the illusion came to an end. So I'm just going to get my wee chat box back in place. Thank you very much. That's quite cool. It's easy to sell, but cars as an asset, what do you call it? They deteriorate. Yeah, well, I think we know that. I'll read that for you, mate.
Easier to sell, but car as an asset depreciate tremendously, especially on a resale, and it's gonna be sold on a federal auction.
Well, it's already been sold, actually, on a federal auction. They're already gone. They didn't actually get a chance to go to auction because there was no equity left in it. It wasn't like they owned them outright. So if you've just tuned in here, we've just shown you that all the finance companies were the first to actually get the monies. The sale of Goliath Ventures luxury assets is only one chapter in a much larger story. While the government continues recovering and liquidating properties connected to the scheme, the criminal proceedings against Christopher Alexander Delgado are now approaching their conclusion. And that's a sad thing. There's not any money squeezed out of this lemon, ladies and gentlemen. On the 23rd of June 2026, Delgado pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering, admitting his role in what prosecutors say is a scheme that raised approximately $328 million. And that's because that's the money they could track coming in through the bank accounts and the like from investors. Unfortunately, what they don't tell you in this blog, which I've written, is they reckon there's $400 million that's gone. And that means the companies literally got themselves in debt and left people holding the bag. I don't know, but the empty bag, isn't it? Anyway, under the offences to which he pleaded guilty, he faces up to 50 years in federal prison. Now, he'll be working like a demon at the moment, trying to lessen that as much as possible. And it doesn't sound like prison is a very nice place to visit. So I'm actually going to be there on the 21st of October, and I want to actually see this guy sentenced. I'm actually really curious. I would love to actually run a sweepstake on how much, how long he's going to get. Now, I would. We should do a poll, because I think that would be worth right. So the poll is, how long do you think Christopher Delgado will actually spend in jail. Now, you call it jail, but I mean prison. All right, so let's go. I'm going, 5 to 8 years. He's definitely going to do 5 or 8 years. Do you think he's going to do that or less? I think it would be fair. To actually say up to 5 years. Up to 5 years. I'm going to go 5 to 10 years. And then what we go? Then we're going to go, I'm going to go 10 to 20. And then years. I'm just curious on what you guys actually think. Because I can't vote, but I do have I'm going to say, I'm just going to jump because I've only got 4 options I can use, but I'm going to go to 20. I'm going to go 21. Well, we've got 5 years, and then we're going to go to 6 to 10 years. Then we're going to go to 11 to 20 years, and then we're going to go 21 years to 50 years. I'm not asking. That should be enough anyway. So what I'm actually asking in the poll is, I think, I personally, I'm not going to tell you what I think, but I don't think he's going to get that long at all. The actual time he could spend in prison. I don't want you to vote on what you think he should get. I actually want you to vote on what you think he'll actually get. And I'll be interested to see what the average is. Danny, if he does 5 years, that would be a slap in the face to the amount of money. I don't think you're reading the guidelines correctly. So what I'm saying is, if remove from the podcast. I think I just accidentally removed them. Add to the podcast. Oh no, I did that right. I just clicked the wrong button. What I think is irrelevant, to be honest, because I don't actually know. I have no idea how it actually works. So in my opinion, everybody that runs a Ponzi scheme and scam should be locked up for life, and it should be the key should be thrown away. But obviously there's not enough prisons for people that are promoting Ponzi schemes. So I'd have to start up a whole new prison just for all the people that I've been tracking over the last 5 years. So I think what I think is irrelevant. I'm a New Zealander. I don't really have an opinion, but I do see people going to prison for other crimes that aren't aren't financial crimes. The people that do financial crimes seem to get the lighter sentences. I mean, okay, we got Bernie Madoff, 150 years in prison, but he went after people's 401ks. Now we've seen Christopher and like Matt Burks. If they can prove that Matt Burks actually went up after people's 401ks, you might see Matt Burks being charged with 150 years in prison, just like Bernie Madoff. Who knows? But whether Christopher claims that he's gone after anybody, who knows? But look, if somebody who did a $711 million Ponzi scheme can be excused or pardoned, which happened a few weeks ago, then who knows what's really going to happen? And I don't do this because I believe in justice. I believe that we need to name and shame anyone running or promoting a Ponzi scheme or a scam, because there is no justice. That's how I feel about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he got a slap on the hand, which I think would be terrible, but I wouldn't be surprised. So you can do your own vote, and let's see what other people think. I'm sorry, it's probably not the best. So I can tell you where they're heading at the moment, but make sure you have a vote. It would be really good. Okay, so since the court reschedules Delgado's sentencing hearing from the 8th of October to the 21st of October, hey, the real cool thing, guys, which you don't realize, I've been invited to go over to America for another event, and it might mean I don't have to go home and come back again. So I might stay in America for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, which is quite exciting. Anyway, I'll let you figure out that in your own brain cell. Anyway, before the U.S. District Judge Gregory A. Personnel in Orlando, court records indicate the parties expect the hearing will last approximately 3 hours. Wow, I'll have to take myself a cup of tea and a cup of coffee then, won't I? Suggesting that the judge will have substantial matters to consider before imposing a sentence. Now, what I'd really like is, we did talk about this the other day, and we will actually go there now. We'll say, if you haven't been here before, Howie, I see you here again. Did you notice Mike has got 2 influencers using the same vehicles? How ridiculous is that? Anyway, before we get into it. So what I wanted to do is go back to the post area of my website. And if you haven't done it, please do so. But you want to write a victim impact statement. There it is here. Now, if you can go to my post area of my YouTube channel, you will see that we show you how to write a victim impact statement. And I've seen one of those, and you can come here, you can click on that link and take it straight into here, and it gives you information on how to write a victim impact statement. And in here, it shows you the form, and it's even got Christopher's name already written out there. It tells you the case and all that sort of carry on. So, please do that. If this has affected your life in any which way or form, unfortunately, we've already had one person that's not here with us anymore. So we know the detrimental effects of these investments and what they can have on people are just horrible. So if you're talking, I think it's wise. I think if you've got people that want to listen to, we're here for victims. If you want to tell us your story and you need I don't want to downplay it, but if you need a shoulder to cry on, my Avengers are friggin' amazing. And we have empathetic everyone's, because I have seen hundreds, if not thousands of people fall victim to scams over the years. And we are here to help victims as much as we can. We can't give you your money back because that's fixing the victims. We don't fix victims, but we can console with people that have lost money. We don't want this to define who you are. This is just something that's happened in your life that we're hoping that we can help you overcome. And like any reservoir that holds back water, if you keep applying yourself, the water level rises and it will overcome the obstacle. I always think of that illustration when people say to me, like at the moment, we've launched what we call Operation Elephant. And I ask people, how do you eat an elephant? One mouthful at a time. So what we're doing is we're going through all the co-conspirators. We just said that we're going to actually publish an article about Dante. We're going to do another article about Tomo. We recently did one about Mike Grulinski. And we're just going to do an article on each of these co-conspirators so that we can basically show that everyone, it takes an army. It wasn't just Christopher doing here. And I can't wait for the latest, what am I trying to say, guys? We're all holding our breath to see who gets charged next. I believe there'll be a machine gun of people being charged, and then there'll be a machine gun of people saying, I'm not guilty, and then this could go on for years. But I'm hoping that they go after the co-conspirators and stomp this fire out, because a lot of these co-conspirators are still trying to do startups, like Mike, for example. Anyway, let's carry on. As the sentencing date approaches, the forfeiture proceeds continued in parallel. Luxury vehicles being auctioned, real estate is being sold, and financial records continue to be examined as investigators work to trace investors' fund and recover assets. Now, remember the clawbacks? We did a blog about that months ago about how clawbacks work. Unfortunately, a lot of the charities will have to give their money back. Anyone that did, we talked about Sanjay, who sold $402,000 worth of merch for the Patrick Ben David event. And then all that merch went to a storage container. Somebody who come on the channel and we interviewed them has got all this merch available for purchase if you want to buy some stuff. And then they had the event, the dinner, and they went and purchased more merch. So now they'll look at those receipts. We've given those receipts and those invoices to, we've handed them over to the right people to investigate. And there's a lot of net winners out there as well. So all these people will be investigated. They've got the database. They just had another document put into the courts asking if they can email people in mass emails. So everyone that's invested will be part of Goliath Ventures. They have people's contact details, phone numbers, emails, and they will be going through everybody that took, handled, or held money for Goliath Ventures, and that's really exciting. For the thousands of people affected by the collapse of Goliath Ventures, these proceedings represent far more than a what's that word?
Disposal.
No, it is disposal of expensive cars. They mark the final stages of an investigation that transformed social media images into extraordinary success, into evidence represented before a federal court. Whatever sentence is ultimately imposed, the outcome will bring one of the largest cryptocurrency fraud prosecutions in recent years a significant step closer to conclusion. Now, we all want closure, whether it's good or bad. Hanging on to hope is a shocker. The difference between image and reality. After investigating hundreds of investment opportunities over the years, I've noticed a pattern that repeats itself with remarkably consistency. The lifestyle almost always arrives before the legitimacy. They're trying to prove that they're the real deal. They're trying to build trust. Long before investors see audited financial statements or independently verified performance, they show the rewards, the exotic cars, the luxury homes, the private jets, the expensive holidays. How many holidays do you think Christopher had over the last 3 years? The exclusive events become part of the sales presentation. As I just showed you, Onyx Reserve. Why would you have all these flash cars parked inside a jet, what do they call it? A jet thingy? a hangar. It's just to show you the wealth that they're theoretically getting. Often before the investment even gets traction, they're showing off the wealth. Whether intentional or not, these images encourage people to believe they look at the results of a successful business rather than asking how the success was eventually achieved. Goliath Ventures followed the same pattern. The luxury vehicles became powerful marketing tools, helping to create the image of financial strength that attracted confidence and ultimately investment. Yet the forfeiture records reveals that appearance can be deceptive. Some of the most recognizable assets in the company's luxury fleet carried significant debt, while others generated little or no recoverable value once the finance companies had been paid. That's why I encouraged people to look beyond the lifestyle and ask the questions that really matter. Who actually owns the asset? Is it financially owned? Is it financed or owned? How much equity is really there? Where did the money originally come from? Who owns the friggin' deeds of the car? Can the claimed success be independently verified? I mean, okay, if you looked at Elon Musk, or Bill Gates, all those sort of people, you'd probably realize where their money come from. Those are the questions that protected investors. They're also the questions that really appear in promotional videos. Like the claim. That's what we want to see in future, right? So if Onyx Reserve are still going, claiming they've got real estate, luxury real estate investments, then why don't you show us who actually, where the money's coming from? Be more transparent. You have to be these days. The story behind the cars. When we first investigated Goliath Ventures Inc., the luxury vehicles seemed almost identical to the broader story. My attention was focused on the investment model, the promised returns, and the growing number of victims, and the amounting regulatory legal action. So that's what we was originally looking at, was the contracts and the claims that we're making, the 3 to 8% returns per month. As the investigation progressed, however, those vehicles took on a much greater significance. I'm getting a bit tired here reading, so I'm just going to give myself a break for a bit, and let's read the next 3 paragraphs.
They weren't simply expensive possessions. They became part of the company's public identity, reinforcing the impression that Goliath Ventures had achieved the kind of financial success most investors could only dream about. Every Lamborghini, Rolls-Royce and Bentley helped create an image that was difficult to question because it appeared to be backed by visible wealth. The federal forfeiture proceedings tell a very different story.
I'm just curious, if that I got an echo, or is that all sounding good today? Rather than uncovering a fleet of what do they call it? Unencumbered luxury assets, the court records reveal vehicles carrying substantial financial obligations, limited equity, in some cases, no recoverable value at all. We've got that. What appeared on social media is extraordinary wealth, often proved to be far less valuable. I'm not even going to say that right. Anyway, let's have another
Less
go.
valuable once the lenders had exercised their legal rights. Today,
many of those same vehicles are being sold by the United States government as part of ongoing asset recovery process. Christopher Alexander Delgado has pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering, and is sentenced on the 21st of October 2026, where he faces up to 50 years in federal prison. Now, we did do a survey here. Sorry, we did a vote. We've only got 8 votes. Come on, everyone, let's do a vote. So far, I'll tell you what's happening here. Do not be persuaded by what I say, but most people think he's going to get 11 to 20 years. That would be interesting. So you can ruin somebody's life and do you can ruin somebody's life by having a car accident, or you can abuse somebody, suppose, and you get more jail time than you can by financially ruining somebody. That doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, luxury help distractor. This is largest crypto fraud in the United States. For me, this investigation reinforces the important lesson that extends far beyond Goliath Ventures. A luxury lifestyle should never be taken as proof of legitimacy. Expensive cars, designer watches, and exclusive events can all be purchased, financed or leased. What cannot be manufactured so easily is independent, verifiable financial records, transparent business operations, and honest answers to difficult questions. If you can't ask questions about your investment, then don't invest. If they don't show you the books, then don't invest. If they don't show you the bank accounts where the money is, do not invest. I remember Jonathan Mason claiming that he's seen $1 billion locked up in crypto. He's had access to the wallet. Didn't know what an exchange wallet is, obviously. But anyway, that's what he was claiming. That was enough for him to validate everything that Goliath Ventures was doing. In the end, the Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces were never the real story. They were simply the props. Can you just hear what I'm saying there? These were just the props. The real story was that they persuaded people to believe. That's really it in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what else to do here other than tell you the sad story that all these vehicles were just a facade or a veneer of wealth. They didn't have that wealth. In fact, they had more debt in the wealth they were showing people, which just leads more to the confusion. Right, so let's just have a look at some of the comments here that I can bring up on the stage that you may have missed. It said, the case went on for years, though, Danny, and they never took it to trial. You can still have a right to speedy trial in the US, such as what are we talking about? We're talking about Bernie Madoff, are we? What I'd recommend you doing, guys, is pause. You can see all the comments behind my head coming up as people are actually posting comments. You can go through and watch the video, and I have the live relay chat going, so you can actually see the comments coming up. The problem is I stream on 6 different platforms, so sometimes we get comments from other platforms like X or LinkedIn and Kick and what's the other one we do? Twitch. So you might miss some of the comments, but you get the general consensus. So at the moment, we've got 8 votes. I'm going to end the poll. I'm done for the day. That was just a relatively short broadcast for me. But I think the reason why I wanted to do this live was because when we saw these forfeiture filings come out, it was actually quite gutting. Even myself, this is the first time that we've really, this is the first time we've actually helped victims as much as we have. Like I literally have, I just get so many emails from people telling me that they have, like this morning I had another lady who invested $50,000 thinking that she was, thinking she was going to get her book published. So here she is all excited about her book being published, and then she realized the company that she's given the $50,000 will never finish the project. Or they literally hire school kids to try to write books for these people and give them dud books. We actually had a really interesting one a wee while ago where one of those companies actually produced a book. It was rubbish. However, it was launched. They did get it online, and it was a bestseller. Even though it was poorly written. Sometimes they fluke it. But they guarantee that the people's books are going to be, bestsellers, take people's money, but never produce the books. So now this lady wants to take them to court. And then I wake up. I had another one telling me that another individual, another opportunity that we're investigating. He said that there's a class action lawsuit going for, I think, 2.7 million. And the same person running the lawsuit claims that they have lost $550,000 to the scammer. So, and then we hear other stories where people have been promoting other opportunities. Instead of taking commissions for promoting it, they've decided to invest in the company that they were promoting as well. And then they lose everything. And it's just like, every time I go through my emails, I'm picking up threads of other conversations. Some of the investigations that we do just keep on going. You know, like some of the investigations we've done a year old, and we're now getting people realizing it was a scam. They felt comfortable, relaxed. They invested everything. So, you know, it's hard watching. I mean, I'm just going to go, while I've got you here, I'm going to show you, you know, like if you looked at our website, right? Well, not our website, but if you looked at our YouTube channel, this Aurum Foundation, 7 or 8 government warnings. Crypto G did an investigation and we tracked 31 million in 17 days. And we proved that this company's not doing any AI trading. They're literally just taking the money on in one door and moving it out the next. This lady here that we've exposed again is Valerie. Now, Valerie lost money to BG Wealth Sharing and then claimed she was a victim, wanted to become an Avenger. So she was using it to groom victims. And now she's promoting another thing called UVI, which is a mirror image of the last scam. And now we're exposing Valerie. Meantime, she's a veteran. She's claiming that she's a victim. And now she's promoting other opportunities. It's breathtaking. We've got e-real estate, which, you know, is another Ponzi scheme or a scam. We've got the global glamping domes investigation. You know, so far we're looking at maybe $5 million worth of funds stolen, never delivered the glamping domes. The concept looks really great, but the reality is stupid. We've got another one over here called Metrotonics, which is Jan Gregory. Now, Jan Gregory's got fined 145,000 Canadian dollars for promoting other Ponzi schemes and scams along the way. And now he's promoting another one called Metrotonics. He's living in Vietnam, and the Alberta Security Commission have contacted us thinking that we know where he is. Obviously, we've got Goliath Ventures, which I've done a lot on. We've got this one here called Signals. Signals is a guy that lives in the Philippines who's encouraging people that don't have much money to invest with him. He claims that they're in 41 countries. He claims that he doesn't need to follow the laws because the law is done different in the Philippines. So people will invest globally into a company that doesn't have anything that he claims they've got. Then what else? We've got One Trade, which is just how many of these scams have we got? We've got one that's called Rift Protocol. This guy here is a chain, well, I would say he's a chain smoker. And we got videos of him smoking. And then next month, he literally had a stroke. So he decides to write to my hosting provider saying that I was the reason he had a stroke because I exposed him in the stress of his business. And my hosting provider decided to give me my marching orders because they said there was a lawsuit filed against you. The lawsuit that he provided in the documents had brackets saying insert date here. And the court documents had emojis in it because he used, obviously, AI to write his court documents, sent it off to my hosting provider, and they told me that they don't want to host my websites anymore because they don't want anything to do with a court case, even though it was all for, So now I had to move and I found a better one. But, there's scam after scam here, like Play Global. Play Global have tried everything to get these videos offline, claiming that they have got $100 billion investment pool that they're building at the moment with no proof. So we exposed them. What else we got here that's interesting? QVO, but there's no shortage of these scams. UGC protocol. We just go on and on and on. So I'm thinking, where do the investors come from? And then I watched e-real estate at a promotional video, and I noticed that this guy here that's promoting a gold scam was at the e-real estate video. You know, it just goes on. There's just so much of it going on. So what I really got to say to you guys, don't invest in anything online. If it's got anything to do with crypto, don't invest. I don't know what to do with your money. I'm not an investment company. Personally, what I like doing is being entrepreneurial. If I had any money, it would stay in the bank. And then I would use it to start up a business. And I would provide a product or a service. I would sell that to someone local. I would make a profit. And then the profit I made, I'd put into the bank. And if you looked at it like that, if you ran a really good business and did good old-fashioned marketing, you could build up a clientele. And then when you get a bit older and you don't want to do it anymore, you sell the business as a going concern. And that's how you build wealth, in my opinion. Or you purchase some real estate yourself. Don't need to go to a company to have a real estate portfolio. You know, when you get big and rich, then chop your money into a third. Have some cash in the bank. Have some personal wealth, maybe like, I don't know, real estate that you touch, you live in, whatever you want to do. And then the rest of the money, maybe you use that on the share market or you start investing. Is that what people are doing? I don't know. I don't have a brass razoo in my name. Maybe there's a reason for it. Don't know. Anyway, hope that was helpful. Sorry, guys, that there's no money left in the vehicles. Let's see what happens when we go through the watch collection. We've heard rumors that he's got 50 or 100 Rolex watches. We've heard that the Rolex dealers have been subpoenaed and they're meant to hand over records. Christopher claims that he's got 18 Rolex watches. We saw the Tiffany boxes. We saw the Louis Vuitton pool tables. So who knows what else could be recovered. But don't be surprised if you find out that there's finance, on everything that Christopher had. And then you just have to wonder, why did he get the opportunity to actually tell his story on Channel 9 News when he didn't mention anything about the debt the company was in? He actually said on Channel 9 News that the bleed rate was $3.5 million per month. All what he was concerned about is being able to pay his bills to keep the illusion going long enough. And then the same videos, he claimed that he was hoping that he was going to get a $15 million investor from New York. And we know that investor. I spoke to him on the phone. And he was only telling Christopher that he wanted to invest $50 million, hoping that he would be able to get back his millions that he invested to get out of it. They provided me a whole lot of recorded phone calls with Jonathan Mason telling us that Matt Burks has got another investment that these guys could invest in. So you've got Onyx Reserve on their YouTube account claiming that they've got investments, I think it was between 5 and 7 return per month. You've got Onyx Reserve stating that Matt Burks is now in operations. We've got Eric McNeil emailing me, telling me they're not associated with Goliath Ventures any which way or form, even though Matt Burke's now working in operations and all red writing as well. So we write them a list of questions to ask, give them a right or reply that we never heard from them. And then, so Jonathan Mason was saying that Matt Burks has got a new investment opportunity paying 3 to 5% per month. And he's also said in the same breath that if you've got rich friends and you introduce them to Matt Burke's new opportunity, that he would get a backhander. That's all it is. It's all commissions. Everyone's selling commissions and getting that money. No one's actually got any real investment opportunities. No real way of guaranteeing returns on investments. And that's the part that we get. Like at the moment, there's all these scams out there saying that they give you 1% per day. If you work that out mathematically, it's totally impossible, but that's what they're saying. But some people are claiming, only 0.5% per day. Even that's batshit crazy. If you're getting anything from 5 to 11% per year, you're a friggin' legend. Let alone somebody claiming that that's just the minimum that you will get back by investing. So don't fall for it. But it does make it harder for people to actually sell investment opportunities if they don't make these outrageous claims. But as they often say, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So hire the Avengers, reach out to us. If you've got something that you've invested in, I've got a guy at the moment who's invested $250,000 into an investment opportunity. He bought me 3 coffees for $15, hoping that I could help him with his investments. And I said, why don't you hire us to do a $500 investment review? And we will have a look to see and highlight all the red flags. And he said, well, I am really cautious about it being a scam. However, I'm waiting for my investments to finish before I take my money out. And I can't help all people. He will lose his money. He will lose $250,000 because he's part of the game plan. The people that have taken his $250,000 will probably give him a touch of his own money back. And then they'll ask for a bigger investment, a bigger opportunity. And they'll give him fear of missing out opportunities. It just goes on and on and on and on. Just stop giving your money away to these idiots on the internet. If they've got a flash Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce, then don't judge their wealth on their vehicles. I'm Danny DeHeck, and we're the Avengers, and we're here to help victims. Reach out to us if you need a hand. Thanks for watching my video, and we'll see you guys in the next videos. Have a great evening, morning. Have a good night's sleep if you're in Orlando. And I'm going to enjoy my evening. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon here in New Zealand, so I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.